Millions of Americans are feeling the effects of the coronavirus, both medically and financially. Unemployment continues to be an issue. Some families are unable to afford food. In several states, we've seen many of those same people turning to food banks. A number of folks for the very first time, and that's what we are seeing today in Los Angeles. CNN's Paul Verkaman is at a food distribution site this afternoon. So, Paul, I know a number of people there. They fall into that camp. This may be the first time that they've needed to seek out assistance.
That's exactly right, Erica. And look behind me. There's a line here for this food giveaway at the First Unitarian Church here in Koreatown. It goes all the way down this block and halfway around another. Feeling extreme tension here in Los Angeles because, as you know, unemployment benefits are running out, and we have some people who have been out of work for almost a half a year. So as we come here into the church itself, this could not get done. They're going to feed about or give boxes out to about 2,000 people today without volunteers, as many as 60 of them. And to keep them vibrant and dynamic and energized, we actually have a DJ here, DJ J, who's helping out the troops as they stack up all these boxes. You can see this assembly line. I mean, they are working very, very hard over there. And I want to talk to Trinity Tran, who runs this event. Go ahead and show us what's in your boxes. They seem unusually well stocked.
Yes, so we try to source enough food to feed a family of four. So it's an assortment of vegetables, dry goods, meat, milk, dairy, as you see the cheese there. So it's a 2-day operation. We rent a truck. We pick up about 100,000 pounds of food, 100,000 pounds of food every week to feed enough to feed a family of four. It's an incredible volunteer grassroots operation.
Rewarding to see the look on people's faces as they get a box like this.
Absolutely, absolutely. You know, as I mentioned before, people are in line at at midnight for doors. At 7 hours, they wait in line for a box of food. But this helps so many people, considering that work hours are being reduced, people are losing their jobs. So whatever we can do to help as many low-income seniors and families in the neighborhood, that's why we're out here. It's a true labor of love.
Again, we appreciate your taking time out, Trinity. As you can see, here is the fruits of their labor. All of these boxes filled with food. As she said, some people lined up at midnight, Erica, just to get their box today. Back to you.
Yeah, the need is certainly there. It is there in Los Angeles and around the country. Paul, thank you. Thanks to Trinity Tran and her folks for all the work they're doing there. Millions of Americans who have lost their jobs are now losing something else, that additional $600 unemployment benefit. It expired at midnight last night. Now, most folks have already received their final payment. For many, though, that money was needed to help keep them afloat. It was helping to pay their rent. It was helping to put food on the table, to pay their utility bills. Just this week, another 1.4 million people filed jobless claims. And with Congress in a stalemate over another rescue package, it doesn't appear that help is on the way anytime soon. Joining us now, Michelle Singletary. She's a nationally syndicated personal finance columnist for the Washington Post and the author of the 21-Day Financial Fast, Your Path to Financial Peace and Freedom. Michelle, always good to have you here. As we look at this, let's start with the money, right, that people had been receiving. That supplement, that extra $600. To take that away, what's the immediate impact there? Not just personally, but on the greater economy as well.
You know, I mean, I think it's just an awful thing that we are here. That last deadline has passed, and there is an aid for people, and it meant a lot. As you said, it meant food on the table. It meant if you couldn't pay all your rent, some of your rent, and it's just so disheartening that so many people are now facing a week or two of not knowing how they're going to pay for things.
Yeah, their bills aren't going away, as we know, whether it's rent or food or car payments. And many people can't work right now because their businesses have shut down. There have been promises in this next stimulus package that there will be another check attached to it for most Americans. If there is, and I think for a lot of families it's a big if there is extra, right, after you get that check, where should folks be putting that money? Should it go immediately into a savings to get through what's to come?
Well, it depends on where you are. If you've lost your job, the money's just going to go to pay for bills, utilities, food, car payments, things like that. If you have reduced hours and you can manage, then definitely save it, because we're not sure what's going to happen with whether the Democrats and Republicans are going to come to the table with something in the next couple weeks. If you are working, and there's still a lot of people still working, this is maybe the time to catch up on that emergency fund that you never funded, or pay down some debt so that if you are out of work, you won't have to worry about those payments when you don't have a paycheck.
When we look at what we saw in terms of that drop in economic growth, the worst drop that we'd seen on record, when you look at that, when you look at the filings for unemployment, again this week, over 1 million, what are your biggest concerns?
I think the two things, obviously, people being able to just feed their families. As we know, lots of schools are deciding to have the kids at home, and I don't know about you, but I've got, young adults in my house, and there's something about being home all day that they figure they have to eat all day. And so,
yes.
There's some situations where not enough food in the house. And then, a lot of the rent moratoriums, the moratoriums on evictions are starting to end. And, on the opposite side of that are landlords who have to pay their bills. And that's the tug of war, right? Landlords have to pay their bills, but then they've got tenants who are out of work. And so now you've got this thing going on, and nobody can make it work. And so that's what's so concerning to me. Listen, Erica, every day in my email box, I get notes from people who are, taking care of disabled children and who have lost their job and haven't worked since March, and single parents. And I don't even know what to say to them, and we have a Congress that, can't come to the table and figure out how to help these people. And yet they have been overly generous to businesses. And I just think that's a failing that we need to take care of. When people not asking to make them rich, they're just saying, can you give me a little money so that I can make sure that I can keep a roof over my head and food on the table?
Yeah, listen, I think you put it perfectly there. Michelle, I really appreciate you being with us today. Always appreciate your take and your insight as well. Thank you.
You're so welcome.